weather is fair, the field is beautiful. We're looking forward to a spanking good game of rugby. Here are today's teams. The starting lineup for the USA. Number 1, loosehead prop, Jack Wiles. Number 2, hooker, Jack Manzo. Number 3, tight head prop, Jared Miller. Number 4, Asa Carter. Number 5, Sam Gola in the second row. In the back row, we have number 6, Chase Jones. Number 7, Miles McCormick. Number 8, Captain Bailey Wilson. Playing at 9, scrum half.
Well, hello, and welcome to Shawnigan Lake School here on Vancouver Island. My name is Gareth Reese. I'm joined by Spencer Robinson. We're looking to some great action today. It is the 2019 World Rugby Under-20 Trophy Qualifier, and for Canada to get to the World Trophy, 2 wins needed, or a win and lots of points. They are up against the U.S. in a 2-match series. Both these teams, only one from North America, will go, fighting for a spot in Brazil from the 5th to the 21st in July. So, huge opportunity for these under-20 athletes. Really important game here. As I said, I'm delighted to be joined by Spencer Robinson, a man who's played national team rugby, coached age grade, and knows a lot of these players very well. Spencer, you got to be happy for these players to get this opportunity, put the jersey on.
Oh, definitely, and what a great facility and occasion to have it up here at Shawnigan. A lot of the players will have either come through programs or they've trained at this facility, and so this will feel very much like a home game, even from the players from the East.
And the Canadian players have been in camp for several weeks. We'll talk about their preparations and how much has been done on their behalf. We'll bring you the teams, but of course we are playing the Americans today, coached by Scott Brankin, the man who coaches at Claremont Colleges in California. And they have a powerful side up here. These two teams played last year down in Houston, one game at Texas A&M and one at Rice University. And it was a fascinating duel, to be fair. Canada won 60 points to 22 in the first game. And as I said, the winner on aggregate points goes through. In the second game, the USA won, but only by 22 points to 40. There wasn't enough. 20 points difference meant Canada went to the Junior World Trophy. So it's all to play for here. Quickly go through the teams. At loosehead, for the USA, it's Wiles. At hooker, Manzo. Tight head, Miller. Lock, Carter. The other lock will be Gala, and the back row is made up of Jones and McCormick on the flanks, with the captain Wilson in the number 8 jersey, highly experienced, his 3rd attempt at under-20 qualification. The halfbacks also very experienced, Ethan McVeigh and Mike Weir. Weir in the 10 jersey. On the wings, Wakavesi and James, with the midfield made up of Falatau and Wendling, with Sam Walsh at back, another experienced man, 3 times here. Some question whether he was going to put on the 10 jersey, but Spencer, he's been back to 50, and a powerful U.S. side.
Yeah, so it's great to see that experience. The guys coming back for another crack at their North American opponents, and that really can build some momentum on your program. And guys who've been here before won't be daunted by their prospect of playing international rugby and these 2 games ahead.
It's all about growth and player pathway for both these nations. We do work together quite a bit, Canada and U.S. Rounding out the subs, the front row subs, Looper, Mitchell, and Lopetti. And the other extras, as we call them, or impact players, Gelhaus, Noggle, Palasayama Breeze, Semu, Green, Fisher, Freeman, and Vakalani. And one rule we should mention at the U20 level is that all 26 players can dress. Obviously, the front row specialists have to stay ready to play, but the coaches can use any of those 19 to 26 players as they wish. I think a good rule for the youth, Spencer, to get them involved.
Yeah, great rule for that. You wouldn't restrict these youngsters and their families who've put in so much time, still give an opportunity to get on the field even outside of the normal restriction of 23 players.
And over to Canada, the man in red, Jeff Williams, the head coach, ably assisted by Adam Roberts and David Butcher. These guys have been at it for a while. In fact, Jeff Williams is 5th year as head coach, and they've got a big, powerful side. They have had some injuries in the week to contend with. Not a short list. Kratz, Campbell, Verkus, Butler, all unavailable. Butler due to not being released. Some higher commitments at RMC defending our nation, so fair enough to him, but some bad injuries and a late injury, 2 late injuries actually. Baume was injured this week. as was Matthews, who was start at 7. So the starting lineup for Canada, the front row, Zulani, Augustin, and Roland, a big, powerful group. Roland at 6'2", 285. And in the second row, equally powerful and even bigger, Frank Carson, one of the Carson crew here, and we'll talk about them, and Tyler Duguid, a decent pedigree himself, and he is one to watch for the future, the wrestler turned rugby player. Even better pedigree, perhaps, Quentin James in the 6 jersey for Canada. Flesh gets pulled out with a late call startup on the 7 jersey, and it's Nick Carson in the number 8 jersey. For the halfbacks, perhaps Canada's most experienced and the greatest hope for some years, Will Persilier in the 9 and the jersey with the captaincy, and Brock Webster in the 10 jersey. On the wings, Daskovich and Richard, and in the midfield, Quinton Guadi and Casey with Oidement in the back. Spencer, it's been some time since we've seen players with that much physical presence and pure skill in an age grade jersey for Canada.
Yeah, this is an exciting group. When you mention guys like Persilier plying his trade over in France, of course the 2 Carsons in the pack who've gone through a great program through Oak Bay, Willows, and CW Rugby, and then all that talent coming in from the East with Richard in particular, and Webster, Brock Webster. I'm excited about those guys. 2
players have been very much involved in the Sevens program, had their first taste of national team rugby there. Richard got a run on at Hong Kong. I was there. It was absolutely awesome to see a young Canadian boy on that famed stadium, the Spencer Stadium you played on, as have I, and just was really special to see David Richard able to run out there. A long way from Milton, Ontario. Running out the rest of the subs, the front row subs, David Carson, Tweed, and Mukendi. They are the front row specialist reserves. And for Canada, Davis and Gouveretz comes in for the Flesh, who's moved up to the starting team. Isherwood, who may have to act as backup scrum half, not really his natural position, but he'll be on the bench today. De La Fontaine, who has the rare moment in international rugby of playing against a teammate from St. Mary's College. Vicolani, Biss, and Pinnell. So again, more talent, more raw talent. Biss, the youngest player, I believe, out there for Canada at 17. He could have potentially 4 years here. A man who plays his rugby with the Saracens in London and in their academy.
So we're getting ready to see some, what you'll typically see with these fixtures is lots of energy, youth, and exuberance. And I know that might seem like a natural or an easy comment to make, but sometimes what coaches have been trying to do is temper that a bit, give the guys a bit of structure, and get them to keep that youthful exuberance, but still play to a pattern.
And given there's so much on the line, literally your nation's trip to the World Tournament, how as a coach, Spencer, do you manage that, and what are the things you focus on when, you know, both sets of players know there's only 2 games here to get this done, and if you mess up, you really are costing the program for the whole year?
Well, those are the 2 words you use, Garrett. That's the one that I'm sure Coach Williams will be avoiding, mess up. You'll want to take the pressure off the players and just get them to focus on the process, not necessarily the scoreboard, all the things they've worked through the week. Keep focus on those process. Yes, you take the opposition into consideration, how much you know of what they'll do, but you want to think about what's your game plan, how can we institute it for these conditions, this referee, and this occasion.
Well, thanks for joining us here. We're just waiting for the team's absolutely perfect conditions here. It's just after 5 p.m. on a Tuesday evening at Shawnigan Lake School. Our partner, our friend, and a great academy for producing rugby players out here now hosting this, as they will do on Saturday for the second match. Great opportunities, as we said. And if you are enjoying the coverage or you want to send us any comments, hashtag rugbyca. Let us know what you think. We're really glad that we could bring this to you. I mean, on our team sheets here, Spencer, you're a man originally from Ontario, a small little club out there, the Wanderers, that you may have heard of, but it is great in this day and age that all these guys, club mates and their high school mates and their families can tune in and at least have we've only got 1 camera for you here. Sorry if you don't get all the angles you want and maybe not any replays, but at least we're giving you the story that reflects all the hard work these players have put in.
Well, you're absolutely right, Gareth, and that's a great thing about rugby in this country. As big as we are, and some playing in the winter, some playing in the summer, we get these occasions where everyone in the country can tune in. And a lot of these guys will know each other from playing age grade against each other, and now even with each other at different universities. Guys on the West Coast going to school out east, guys from the east coming to school in the West Coast. So it's a great mix and match, and we're going to see some of that today.
The other factor here, of course, we're just north of the Langford on Vancouver Island, which is Canada's center of excellence. The Al Sharon training center's there, and that's where all our national teams, sevens, men's, women's, age grade, they prepare. So that means that Henry Paul, who's just returning from Europe, and Kingsley Jones, most significantly, it will be here on site to see these players. So great opportunity to see them in live action. And that is the referee in the dressing room blowing his whistle. We're going to have a ref link today. Chris Asmus heads up the team, a very experienced man who's seen lots at the highest level of the game in 7s and 15s, joined by Shanda.
Please welcome the USA and
as the teams come out, and Eric Horton. Shanda Moshe Galant, I should say. And great to see these athletes in their traditional red for Canada and blue for the U.S. This is a test match. This is what it's all about, Spencer. They'll be singing the anthem.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm sure the young hearts are just fluttering there. But this is more than a formality, the anthems for these young men. It's such an honor to pull on that jersey, and then to know that you're the 26 guys chosen on this day to represent your country, it's quite an honor.
And can't help but notice on the end of the Canada line, the captain, Will Percellier, is the picture of calm. He obviously is playing his rugby in professional environments, and I think he's leading by example just to say, hey boys, we got this and let's execute. And for the U.S., equally, Bailey Wilson trying to send the same message to his team.
Student from Shawnigan Lake School, McKinley Bourne, for the a cappella sing of the Star Spangled Banner and O Canada. Firstly, Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North, strong and free. From far
Well, the crowd will tell you we're ready to go here. The dulcet tones of McKinley Bourne, herself a rugby player, a student up here at Shawnigan Lake School. Outstanding renditions. Her brother's an age grade player. Her dad's an international. She's immersed in rugby and she's immersed in talent. Great job, McKinley, on the anthems. But Spencer, all the pomp and circumstances out the window. This is going to be a very hard-fought affair. You've played against the Americans in your career. There's a special rivalry there for Canadians, too.
Yeah, it's kind of that big brother down south. You know, the Americans have got so much. There's the Hollywood, New York, and all those things. But just as the Raptors are showing us that there's talent north of the border as well. And these young men are going to try to show just what kind of talent they do have.
We the North, is that what you're saying?
We the North, buddy.
Let's see how the North goes here. The South in the blue jerseys playing from left to right in your screens. That's the United States Eagles under-20 team. And we the North in your red jerseys, Canada. It'll be Will Persiliate to start us off.
With the kickoff.
He's going to go to his left and decides to go long. He's a sweet striker of the ball, is Persiliate. Fielded by the winger, James. Moved infield, and the U.S. decided to kick. A well-placed kick there.
The ball goes deep.
Straight into Ordeman's hands. And Persiliate's off and running. This is part of the game plan for Canada. Such good feet, so quick. Slower ruck ball, and the scrum half's in the bottom there. Someone's going to have to pick and go, and they do through Duguid. Sorry, that was actually James in the corner there. That is Carson. Frank Carson, big carry. And it's pushed through by Webster on the foot. Gathered by fullback Walsh. He is, as we said off the top, one of the danger men for the U.S. He's vastly experienced, and he knows how to run a game. Good strong carry there from Jones. American back row, probably a little bit smaller. We're going to find out how much tougher they are. In the pocket is Weir. It's down the middle, so lots of options for Canada as they look to come in field. An outstanding downfield tackle. Canada lucky not to be penalized.
Oh, very lucky on that occasion. Looked like there's some hands in there. The Americans have managed to turn over.
How'd they ever? Great steal and good counter ruck from the U.S. In the pocket is McVeigh. Americans a little bit standing still. James comes in with a big hit. They go with the flow. Again, another nudge through from Weir. He had a look and there was nothing on, and that's really a turnover, Spencer, when they're in the attack there.
No, definitely. You see already some examples of how both teams intend to play this game. Canada taking those two kicks that didn't find touch and trying to attack with them even when the fullback was isolated, and the Americans hitting it up once and then trying to kick to the corners.
Hoydeman a little bit guilty of getting caught behind his line. His forwards won't be happy with that. But he's a very dangerous open field runner, the man from Lorne Park.
You never know, that might be a tactic just to open up the game later on, try to suck the Americans down, put downfield pressure, and then find some corners later on.
There's Quentin James taking it, well lifted by his team, a little underthrown, but now they're trying to get the drive going. And there's Pacelli off the edge. He saw it wasn't marked. Again, great feet from him. He's still going. On his shoulder was Webster. He can't hold on, and it's a dangerous turnover here for Canada. Good cleanup from the U.S., and they've got it in the hands of James. Ryan James off and running, and the referee is not going to tolerate that. That's a high tackle above the shoulder line. Zero tolerance, Spence.
Zero tolerance for that. And to be honest with you, I think the Canadian player on that occasion could have been lucky because he went straight for the head with a bit of force not to receive a card on that one.
Well, Ryan James won't be a stranger to the big physical contact as the U.S. choose to go for the points to the Brook of Weir. Ryan James currently part of the MLR, the Major League Rugby down in the Stouts in the academy at San Diego. And Spencer, quite remarkable to me. I've been around a little bit, as of you, in North America, and we got some bio information off these players. A huge number of them put down their future hopes and goals in rugby, and usually you're expecting, World Cup, playing for your nation, maybe the Olympics now with sevens. So many of them put to play in the MLR. I mean, what an option to have professional rugby as a young man coming up.
Yeah, it's great, and it's in your own backyard. You don't have to think about going to Europe, or maybe, as a few Canadians have done, go down south to New Zealand to try and get a contract. But to actually compete in your country or North America, that's an option for Canadian and American players.
Mike Weir with the right foot. Clean strike. Just pushed it past the post. So Canada led off after the dangerous tackle.
Well, Weir will be disappointed with that, I'm sure, as so will the head coach, Scott Bracken, because that was really an international competition. You want those opportunities and you want to take those 3 points.
A kick block there. Good work from Wendling, the Central Washington man who hasn't had to come far up here to Shawnigan. Now Canada regroup. Not the dream start they want.
No, some loose play by the Canadians, unfortunately. Very incisive running by Captain Persilier, but because that pass was a little bit hard to his support, turnover, and now look where they are.
Box kick is good. Looks like Oideman stayed down. That was an awkward hit. He was the only man chasing on the blind side. So U.S. with the ball, 40 meters out. There's no one home for the moment, but Persilier spots it. Will that go dead? Beautifully weighted kick. He's got to deal with it. Look at that footwork. We talked about it. He's still going. He's kept his feet, which has allowed his teammates to come back. They regroup again. So Canada with a very nervy start here.
Oideman out of picture, still down, being looked at by the physio. Might be an HIA situation where he has to go off and be assessed for 10 minutes.
Finally, Persilier finds the touch. Good kick from Persilier from the base. That big hit there reminded me of a young Dave Lougheed steaming up there, Oideman, but he's knocked out. Well, he's in bad shape. He's back on his feet. Great to see.
Good work by the fullback. Is obviously great advice from the physio that he's still able to continue in the game, but what a great box kick by Persilier.
And just so everyone's clear, there's no risk in rugby. Any sign of a head injury, the player will not be allowed to play on. When in doubt, sit them out. That's our policy, and it's actually become really good practice across rugby. Not messing around with concussion, so he would only be back in the game if he's cleared and ready to go from the medical support that's here. Persilier again, a high kick, but this one's a little bit short. But it will mean Canada can compete for it. They haven't gathered again, so these tactics not working at the moment. It's just giving U.S. possession in Canadian territory. That one spilled by Jones, but play onto the referee. It went backwards. Still U.S. ball. Off the side goes Wilson.
Some of the inaccuracy you'll see in these first 7 minutes will just be young nerves playing in the game. So,
well, there you go,
Spence. There you go.
You jinxed him. That is Sam Walsh. It looked like he may have just lifted his head, having a look to see what was on.
Yeah, so pretty good line speed from the Canadian team. They're just trying to get into their rhythm. It's good in that they're not giving up their mindset. They're still going to attack this American side. They haven't got their rewards as yet, but it's going to come, I think, for the
Just
Canadians.
explain to our viewers line speed and what the benefit of being quick off the line is.
That's a great question. You say it as if it's just a colloquial if you're a rugby person. What that means, the defensive line, you'll see them flat, and as soon as the ball is out of the ruck or the scrum, they'll try to put as much physical pressure on the attack as possible by taking up as much space before they get to the person they eventually tackle.
A good scrum from Canada. They've got the nudge on, and in fact the U.S. have broken up, but they're keeping it on. This was a problem area. Advantage being played to Canada. The inside ball's good. Off they go. Big stride. Persilier's on the end. He got that a little bit behind him, and that took his momentum away. And Asmus, the referee, will come back for the
under pressure
penalty. And you heard him say we do have the great option of the ref mic. Collapsing under pressure was the American team, and there was a lot of pressure, Spencer. I'm just going to say it was a big problem area for Canada in their warm-up game against our old team, the Crimson Tide. They were well beaten in the scrum, and they've done a lot of work through David Butcher, their forward coach, and that was a much better effort from Canada.
That was a fantastic effort. And not only the forward, the tight five, pushing that the Americans back, but the control of number 8, Nick Carson, to not let that ball out until they gained the advantage, and then to pick up and find his flanker. That was a great play by the young number 8.
It's gone right to the corner, but he's missed it. That's a bad mistake from Persilier. So U.S. will be able to clear the lines, and a beautiful kick. Long and struck. Fantastic.
Gareth, as you mentioned there, that is a bad mistake. So Canada winning that penalty from a dominant scrum, what they want is a line out inside the, or just outside the American 5 meter. Instead, they've got one close to their own halfway line.
I've had that look from the forwards before, Spence, when you mistouched, saying we did our job. What about you?
Yeah.
So a 5-man line out for Canada, little conference. Quentin James is up and ball's off the top. Great ball. Quinton Guadi, midfield. First touch for him. He's a big unit. His goals include playing Rugby for Canada at all 3 codes. So that's 7s, 15s, and Rugby League, of course. Beautiful Swiss pass from Webster. Is the inside on? It is. Oideman's on his feet. Comes off his left foot. What a try from Canada. Explosive. Avery Oideman is the benefactor. but from really well-constructed play from his teammates, choosing the correct options. Canada with the first try of the day.
That was fantastic. Webster to Dashwicki, out to Oideman. What a great connection. After Quinn Nagwadi took the heat, hit the ball up in the middle of the field, and then reversing field the Canadians out to this left side. Great play by the Canadians.
And you mentioned Dashwicki. He came across, and it was his extra set of hands, unselfishly dropping it back inside to his fullback, Avery Ordeman, the sports management specialist from the crew, Oakville Crusaders, gets Canada on the board.
Well, we've had a lot of talent come out of Oakville, you know, from David Spears, Tony Godzika, and now this new youngster adding some flair. It's great to see that talent still coming out from Ontario.
There's even a couple players after Spears to now. But let's not let our bias go. I think head coach Jeff Williams will be really happy with that. He talked about a game plan where they're going to use Quinn Nagwadi to get those hard yards, carry the mail in the middle, exactly what happened, and then they explode. That time, it could be Persilia, but that time it was Webster with really good movement to the blind side. Good recognition, push it out wide, and then the back three doing their job. Persilia looking to add the extras. Of course, a fully capped player for the Canadian national team. Capped against Brazil under coach Kingsley Jones. Good strike, but he's pulled it just a tad to his left. There's a little bit of wind, but not much to pull the ball there. It's going slightly left to right on your screens.
Yeah, so I saw Will out here kicking before the game, and he's hitting everything. But surprisingly, he was kicking the other direction. So I don't think he really tested the wind kicking in the direction he's right now.
So USA, despite that early possession, they're down on the scoreboard. Weir giving the signal to his team there, you can see.
I think you can anticipate a deeper kickoff, and they'll try to put Canada maybe just inside or just outside their 22, and then heap the pressure on. And there you go, right there.
Well, he's had a busy start as Ornament. U.S. not committing any defenders to that. So it's a static situation. Looks like Brasilia is setting up for another box. Lots more chase this time, and the wind is really picking up a little bit here. And that one's gone too deep. So a couple of technical mistakes from Brasilia, but they're going to pay off. Look at the big man coming through. Great pickup from Frank Carson, and then the high tackle to follow. That is the athleticism of the 6'6", 250-pounder from Tawasin, Frank Carson. Shot a goal.
Great run. So you see how the fortunes change just on that skill. Just as we thought, Brasilia had put that kick a little bit too far. The American knocked the ball on right into the chasing Carson's hand, and Canada wins the penalty from the high tackle. Good discipline and consistency also, I must say, from referee Asmus. Another opportunity where he could have issued a yellow card, but as he gave Canada a little bit of a pass on one, I think he did the same for the Americans.
And Chris, as I mentioned, one of our most experienced referees, works now in British Columbia helping mentor other referees, but one of the things he's worked on in his game is that understanding of the players, and you've got young players here who, as we noted, they're fired up, they want to get involved, and both of the high tackles we've seen, there's been no intent, it's just been poorly placed contact, so good awareness from him not to send anyone to the bin ahead of time. Brasilia looking to add an extra 3. Right foot, clean strike. He has a little look, but he likes it. It's right through, and that would have gone through from another 20 meters fence. Sending out a clear message to the Americans: don't offend, or I'm going to punish you.
Yes, definitely. He's figured out the conditions. I think he's reading them very well. Still looking to do more work on the box kick for that ball to arrive when one of his chasers arrives. But Will is really dialing in. He shows why he's the captain of his team. Great leadership. Expect another long kick from the Americans.
This time they go to the left-hand side. This time gathered by Canada. Again, Brasilia steps out of one tackle, but credit the hooker there. Manzo getting downfield. One of the many Cal Berkeley players on this team. So well drilled, so well disciplined. And his head coach, Tommy Billups, will be happy with that tackle. Himself a fellow hooker.
Hooker and winger, Tom Billups, captain both positions.
So, another poor kick from Brasilia. U.S. has possession. The captain's off and running.
Stay last.
Static ball again. They have a look for the little box kick. Again, a bobble pass, but he hangs on this time. I believe that's Jones. Good drive, good leg drive from the U.S. They got to move that ball. Too slow to arrive.
Great
for
timing.
McVeigh. American player down, but play goes on.
Stay here.
And it is Jones off his feet. Midfield hit up, but immediately engulfed by Canadian players. Now back on it is McVeigh. He's a little slow getting to these breakdowns. There's the prop looking for the offload. Miller gets it away. He's still going inside, outside, showing both ways, but the ball spilled. Advantage being played, none accrues.
Well, very interesting. The U.S. taking a page out of the Canadian playbook, switching the play. That's the first time they've actually moved the ball just outside the first receiver. So, and it looks like they're trying to catch Canada a little bit short on that weak side as well.
Okay.
Well, great to have you here joining us on the Facebook Live feed. Hashtag RugbyCA if you want to get in touch. Got a couple of good messages. Watching from England is Kevin. Go Canada, go. And Paolo also with good messages from Italy. And so we got fans in U.S., Italy, and England. Great to have you here. Let us know what you think about what Spencer's saying, maybe about what I'm saying, but what you think of these efforts of these great young age grade international athletes.
Yeah, dangerous position for young players here. You're inside your 22. You do have the advantage of possession. Well, look for Nick Carson, the number 8 for Canada, to take this ball up off the scrum.
So off the back goes Carson. Oh, what a hit. Sit down. The fullback, Walsh, just had to come in to make the tackle. In fact, he's been moved to 10. They've swapped them. So Oideman off again the show, but no go. Really good defense from Wendling. But the ball's still in Canada's hands. Too good. Dropping the shoulder.
Back.
Vasily looks to go again. He's been given license to test around the edges. He got through once earlier, but not this time. The big men arrived to look after him.
The ball's been turned over.
Good tackle there from Oideman. Saves the day so Canada can reboot. The chip over. There's no fullback at home. He just made the tackle. On the run is James. Can he get a bounce? Looks to have been knocked out again by Oideman. Let's see. The referee was going to have a little chat here. If he knocks it out with his hand intentionally, it's a penalty.
Not only a penalty, Gareth, it could be a penalty try if the referee judges that the American player would have scored had that ball not been knocked away.
So they've had a chat. Let's hear what Mr. Walsh has to say.
Looks as though he's giving a 22-meter.
Yeah, we got the ref mic down there. Sorry. So it will be a 22-meter. Yeah. It was kicked in by the U.S. if you're new to the game, and then Canada took it off the field. So because it had crossed the line, it will be a 22-meter dropout. Great pace shown from Walsh there.
Great vision as well to recognize Oideman was slow to get up from that involvement and left, and there was no cover.
Look at the quality of that dropout. Turn the referee mic down for you all there. Oh, it's blocked. So a 70-meter gain there for Canada. Really good chase
by Canada's left winger.
Player you know a little bit, Spencer.
Yes.
Jarvis Dashovich, a UVic product currently.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of coaching Jarvis at CW a couple years ago. Delightful young man, polite, works hard, great team man.
Steele at the front. Great athleticism. It's got to go quickly before the U.S. can organize. There is Roland.
It's a dream position for Canada now, inside the 22 with a split field.
Brasilia looking both ways. Carson steps out of one, but he keeps going. He spins. He's still driving the legs. Finally brought down 15 meters out for Canada now. Webster, he goes himself. He gets the first tackler looking for it. He forces the offload, but Canada gets it back in their hands after it's bobbled. They go with the flow again. Casey gets his first touch. Good support over the ball for Canada. Where are they going to attack? They go midfield through Carson. That's Frank Carson. 7 meters out now. Now they're going short side, in behind. They've got the open man. Outstanding play. David Richard runs it under the post with a feed from Quinn Nguati.
What a try by these young Canadian players. Fantastic. I'm not sure how many of you guys got the option to record this game. If you go back to that scrum inside the 22 and the 12 meters gained by Nick Carson, and then that carry again outside the U.S. 22, that go-forward ball makes those opportunities look easy.
It's such a nightmare to defend for the Americans when you're on the back foot. You're having to reset the line, and those hard yards, as you say, by Carson and a few others make it difficult. Roland did well as well on the ball, the man from the Nomads. But really happy with his back line, Spencer, how they're all sharing it out. And Guadi recognized it wasn't on for him, so he pushed it to his winger. And David Richard, another Mississauga man, the Blues, gets on the board. It's got to be said, Spence, not because you're sitting here as an Ontario man, but just wonderful things going on in Ontario rugby at the moment. Just good, skilled athletes staying with the game. Of course, someone like David Richard not only has the World Cup and going to the Junior World Trophy in his sights, but also the Olympics, as he's a sevens player, been part of, up to recently, Damien McGrath's team, now plying his trade. And a beautiful strike from Percillier. So, starting to add up for Canada.
Very well done. Now, what Canada will be doing, hopefully what Captain Percillier and Coach Williams will be saying into these guys is, this is not the time to give the Americans a sniff. So if you're going to kick, you want to get them downfield. Don't take too many risky options inside your 22. You don't want to give them a chance to get on that scoreboard as well. Keep choking them out.
15 points to nil, the score for Canada. USA, come on now, said the fans down below. We're just not far from the 49th parallel, so in fact we're below the 49th parallel, and so a lot of U.S. support here, supporting their athletes. That kick is long, and the downfield pressure isn't the best from Canada, so well into Canadian territory goes U.S. on the blind. Goes McVeigh. He's coming back, he's spinning, and finally he's knocked down. Oh, there's McVeigh in again at 9. Good pod set up, inside ball to Manzo.
Canada playing with almost 3 fullbacks now there with Percillier, Oideman, and Dashwicki.
Good carry from Wiles. U.S. playing a very tight game around the 15, but Canada up to it for the moment. Some big tackles going in. That time by Frank Carson. He's really put his mark on this game.
Again, Gareth, you'll notice the Americans aren't moving it past that first receiver.
Oh,
and
when
maybe
they
that's
do,
why.
It's spilled. Guess who? Frank Carson. Gets it to Richards. Percillier wanted the ball. He didn't want to ruck. He's got the pace. Well, Spencer, it's a miracle he passed the ball because Percillier is demanding it. Got the pop-up pass from Richards. And that was the opportunity. There's no way they're going to mark Percillier in space like that.
That was a classic piece of rugby. Just great defensive pressure from the Canadian boys, always shutting the door. When the Americans were forced out of their comfort zone, trying to make that second tip-on pass, things went awry, and Frank Carson was on hand to turn over and then free his winger. Then ultimately the captain scores in the corner.
Well, Will Percillier, the man with kind of an amazing rugby bio, been all over the place, a couple of things just across the road here, literally Brentwood College. He's a product of that great rugby institution, and played his rugby there, but also Hong Kong connections, and benefited from a great program called For the Love of the Game. David Lougheed and his team in Calgary were right across Canada raising funds for these athletes. David, a man who played at the very highest level in World Cups for Canada and professionally with the Leicester Tigers, benefited from a stint over in England when he was this age, or a little bit younger than this, where it really changed his rugby fortunes. And he has got together with some other players. Tyler Duguid's benefited, Brock Webster's benefited, and now Will Percillier, of course. He went to New Zealand and really had his eyes opened to how the game can be played. Right now, he's looking to add the extras. He's having a second look, which isn't a good thing when you're a kicker usually. It's just fallen short. But that's a meaningful opportunity for an athlete like this, Percillier, to go down to New Zealand and hone his skills.
Well, as you mentioned, Gareth, and when it's, ironic, when these players, they'll watch a lot of those Super Rugbies, they'll watch New Zealanders and French players play, but when they get down in those environments, they realize, hey, I'm just as good. I'm just a kid from Mill Bay, but I'm just as good. And that's happened with James O'Neill, Will Percillier, and other Canadians who've gone all over the world to train.
I mean, you've seen how fast he is out here. One of his comments was, I'm just not fast enough to get to the breakdown when they're playing really well. It's something he had to work on, his lines of run, which is remarkable when you think he was the fastest kid around in all his high school rugby. So this long kick hasn't found touch. He wasn't necessarily looking for it, or it may bounce there. It does in the end. And the big number 8 made his kick look good. That's Bailey Wilson not able to gather it.
Quick line out taken by the Americans. And the referee is saying, nope, no quick lineout. Maybe it did not travel to 5 meters. So if you can take a quick lineout, you don't have to wait till it's formed. But one of the rules of the game is that the ball must travel 5 meters from the sideline in. And the Americans get another shot at it with a full lineout.
Also can't be touched by a fan, which may have been the case over there, or an extra
Very
player.
true.
So 4-man lineup for the U.S. They've got one pod
Look
at
at
the front.
flat defensive line, just ready to get off that center line to put pressure on the American skills. Looks like
wall.
the Americans have got number 12 as their first receiver option, but it's a moot point because the Canadians have the ball.
Off and running, stolen ball, a great attacking option. Quick offload.
Between the legs.
From James. So a bit more conventional here. Dashkowicz in the hole. Vasilia gets there. Well, Canada winning all these collisions, falling forward, which, as you said earlier, makes it so much easier to play. That one spilled by Roland. Play on, says the ref, advantage. U.S. will have a chance, even though they have a free scrum, if they can create something back here. And this man who's been put back to fullback Mikey Weir started in the 10 jersey.
Now they've just used their advantage opportunity by kicking the ball away. So watch Canada take that in attack.
Hoydeman decides fairly late in the game to kick. Is he going to get it back? No, that's a poor execution and poor decision from him. Will the Americans make him pay? It's about the first thing Hoydeman's done wrong today. He's been outstanding. Good carry there from Jack Wiles. This is his second attempt at qualification for the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy Qualifier in an American jersey. First receiver there, Falatau. He stepped in. Oh, is that an intercept? No, it's knocked on. Play on, says the ref. Ryan James. Kick ahead. The referee's going to go all the way back, saying no advantage accrued to the U.S. And from that original kick from Hoydeman, Canada's actually going to be deemed offside. They were within 10 meters where the ball landed. A little bit confusing for some of our viewers new to rugby. Spence, what are your obligations when a kick goes up when you're ahead of the ball?
When that kick goes up, if you're ahead of the ball, you're offside. So what you have to do is retreat, especially if you're within 10 meters of where the ball lands. So you've got to show the referee you're trying to get onside. You just can't stand there, which are what some of the players, the Canadian players, did. Interesting, you might think that's a long advantage for the referee to play, but Chris Asmus got a great feel for the game, recognizing that the Americans were always under pressure, so they never really had a chance for advantage, so he's gone back to the original penalty.
I think the U.S. had a little discussion whether they would go for the points, try and get that goose egg off the board. In the end, they kick to the corner, and do they kick well? The wind is picking up. You can see that from our assistant official's flag over there. That is Shanda Moshe Gallant over there. So they're only 5 meters from the line, a huge opportunity, and the captain's made the call, the big man. Bailey Wilson said, no, we need to try. We're down by 20 points here. We need to try.
They're also down a player because Ryan James, the right winger, is still on the sideline, having taken a strong hit from a Canadian left winger.
There's the catch. Can they get the legs driving? They reform. Canada can't bring it down. He's only a meter from the line, and he's over.
Well, you called it, Gareth. Great call by the captain, and he delivers as well. Bailey Wilson going over, breaking away from that maul, and scoring.
I'm not sure that it was Wilson. It may actually have been Chase Jones. Slightly smaller than Wilson, but Wilson was right behind him driving the traffic.
Well, you can see how one little skill breakdown can compound onto conceding 5, maybe 7 points for the Canadians. So they'll be disappointed with that.
So it looks like it may have been Manzo. Sorry, we didn't get another view at that. But the American hooker, Jack Manzo, has put the U.S. on the board.
That was a textbook
Wasn't it?
driving line-out play, and hooker, after throwing the ball in, coming to retrieve it, and then breaking away and going over himself. Good work by Manzo.
We're looking for the extras, and he gets them. So Canada punished for some poor kicking and a bit of indiscipline. We're adding, and just like that, U.S. right back in this one.
USA 7, Canada 20.
20 points to 7, Canada in the lead, but U.S. narrowing the gap.
right now, this will be an interesting one for Persilier. He can hang that ball up even on that drop kick, and you got to chase her like Quentin James in the number 6 jersey. So this could be one where we compete for possession. Nope, we go long.
Well gathered. Let me put the boot to it. Whiteman's going to try and save it. I think he does. But does he get the ball? Yes, gets it out beautifully. Persilier is off, and he's off at pace. One man to beat. He looks inside, looks outside. Oh, he sets him up. Any support there? That's what he's saying. He's good to go. What a try, Will Persilier.
What a try. You just want to applaud, and just the skill and the vision and the audacity right from Whiteman to keep that ball in play, to flick it off the ground, and then for the captain to say, I've got 60 meters, but I'm going to go.
As we said, he's been given license by Jeff Williams, Adam Roberts, David Butcher, the coaches. We've got this rare talent. Let's use him. And his teammate gave him the opportunity. Avery Ordeman kept that ball in field, and very athletic play from him. And then Persilier, off he went. As I said, he only had one to beat. He actually had two to beat. And I said Spence in the run-up, he set him up. He took him one way, and then he went away from him again and ended up being virtually untouched. What is that like, open field? What's he trying to achieve?
Exactly. I mean, what you've got to think when you have the ball is that you're in the driver's seat. So it's getting a defender maybe to go a little bit faster by pulling away, or slowing them down by running towards them, and then you moving away because you know you've got that other gear. And it's a hard skill to learn, but Persilier, looks like he's mastered it.
You think he's looking okay? Stade Francais, his current employer over in France, he's going to have to reset that ball as it fell off. He has an incredibly flat ball. We won't have much of a look at it from this angle, but it's almost parallel to the ground, the ball. And he hits it on the point. And I think he was rushed a bit there. I don't know why Mr. Asmus asked him to hurry up.
Well, there is
fell off the tee.
A certain amount of time now. The referees are trying to be pretty stringent on it. I believe it's 1 minute from the try being scored to speed the game up, to go away from the Owen Farrell kind of minute and a half before I take a kick, or the Johnny Wilkinson. They just want to get more rugby being played.
Well, the great thing about Canadian like Persilier, who will be overseas with Stade Francais, he'll be playing against those players, the Owen Farrells of this world, if he continues to progress in the professional ranks. Another long kick. Left by Carson. Persilier again. This one is blown back in field. No, it isn't. Sorry. The captain, Wilson, is not going to take a quick one this time. And against a little bit of a breeze here, that's a very solid relief for the Canadian team from their captain.
Very good exit plan by Canada for that deep kickoff. Persilier is tempting fate a little bit because the Americans are coming hard. I think they're looking to block that clearance kick because they know they're kicking deep, and they know what Canada's up to.
Americans have gone to a 5-man line out. They hit the big man, Sam Gola. And now the first time in a while they're trying to build some attack. Good spinning out of the tackle. Goes Falatau, the sevens specialist. He's based in Chula Vista with the Eagles sevens team, number 2 in the world. Just challenged Fiji on the weekend. Amazing program down there.
It's interesting. Watch the Americans' scrum half. Delivery's a little bit slower than Persilier, and it drops quite a bit. And that might not be, that one's going a bit high.
Just taking time away from his attackers. Nguati dumps him onto the ground. That's Falatau again. It's stolen. Nguati's got his hands on it. Out the back door, just like his idol, Sonny Bill. Now Canada, can they find a disrupted U.S. defense? Quentin James, that really a solid performance for him last week in the warm-up game. Made huge strides over at his club in France, and that ball hits the ground. Gathered by Wakavesi. And again, kick long by Weir. Not much Webster can do there unless he's going to push it to himself. No, a good clearing kick from Weir.
Great to see Webster, though. Once he'd made the kick to the right corner, he immediately went to, where's the space? Where's the threat? If I was a number 10, where would I be looking? And he dropped into that hole so that he was there to cover. What a turnover won by the Canadian left winger here. Jarvis, fantastic work on the ground. Following a long tradition of tough left wingers who've played for CW.
So, U.S., they've had their share of possession this match, but only 7 points to show for it against Canada's 25.
Again, they haven't really chanced their arm. It's not going past that first receiver, so you're not going to score points necessarily that way. They're maybe hoping for a penalty, a line out, and a drive.
Just talking to their coaches, they haven't had as much time as they would like together, just 1 2-week camp, and not many complex combinations. The Canadians having a bit more time together, and it's paid off right now. Oh, what a scoop up. Those are the 50-50 balls, although the referee is
penalizing for a previous Canadian infringement before that ball went loose, a player losing his feet at the ruck. And looks like the Americans might go for that line-out option again.
They are going to kick it deep, use this wind. Ask Weir to put him in the corner just like he did last time. It was only 5 meters out last time. Let's see what he gets this time. Well, just almost as good. It'll be a 15-meter, 20-meter drive required from these big lineup forwards. Canada will have hopefully had a little bit of a chat after the last try.
You're absolutely right, Gareth, about preparation time. It makes such a difference to back play, but lineouts are almost one of the closed skills of the game. You can rehearse those in a gym, anywhere, and we'll see how the Americans go.
Full line out. Across the field goes McVeigh. He's brought down. Options both sides for the U.S. Weir's in at scrum half. He looks left, and he goes left. Standing still, though, is the receiver, Gala. It's a little bit of a problem for the U.S. There's a bit of a leg drive. Good work from Carter. Asa Carter gets 10 meters from the line. The bizarre blind pass to Wakavesi. Again, McVeigh looking for options. And it's come out the side. They're going to be a penalty for a high tackle against Canada. So this is an interesting decision. Spencer, 10 meters out. Corner or points will be the discussion.
I think you got to go for corner because you're not going to win this game 3 points at a time. Now, Canada's really taking control. You got to start putting bigger points on the board, 5, 7. Those are the nominations you want to add.
You see the American players warming up in the dead ball area. There will be full substitutions, and it could be a factor. It's always been a factor over the 2-game series in World Trophy qualifying that how strong your bench is. There'll be a couple of injuries here, and who's ready to come in.
Nice. Watch for this line out again, Gareth, just like the last one. That was the pressure put on by Carson and Quentin James that forced a tap. That one, not so much, so they got what they want now, which is a driving situation.
Really good form from the U.S. And again, they're over the line. Can they get it down? No, they're pushed back. 2 meters short. One of the Americans went off on his own when he might have been better advised to stay with the pack. The quick pick at the base. In comes the big unit, Carter. The Canadians just chopping away. I think the captain's on that one as well. Bailey Wilson. Bit of a mess right now. The Americans need to regroup. There's a shot at the line, just half a meter short. They'll come again. Canada looking to get low. They're in the blocks. A little bit of a crawl forward. Oh, the ball went between the legs and it spilled forward. And look at the joy of the Canadian pack. They're applauding themselves. Those are instrumental moments, Spence, in a test match.
Yeah, great defense and great discipline. First, not to go offside, not to do any infringements, and just to go lower than the ball carrier, stop him in his tracks. Don't get tempted to use your hands, and just put those skills of the Americans under pressure. And as we see now, they failed the test because there was a knock on. Canada gets the opportunity to clear their lines. Watch again for number 8, Nick Carson, taking this ball up first off to give his scrum half captain an opportunity for a little bit more space. Carson getting set in the back of the scrum there. Last time we were in this situation, he went to left-hand side. Lots of room on the right-hand side. The American left winger is back 10 meters. That's very tempting for a number 8.
So they're going to reset it. So Chris Asmus there. He'll be shouting out. Let's hear these instructions. It's really quite interesting.
Should only be a few minutes to go in this half.
The ref mic is down for the moment. Again, safety paramount for these young players. It's all rugby. Just ask them to clean their boots, get set. They'll have clear commands. Gone are the days of firing in there in the front row.
Yeah, and Gareth, I'm quite surprised how deep the American left winger is. That is really inviting a player like Nick Carson into that space. And I just see him now. Maybe he's heard me because he's just coming up flat to say, there's somebody home here.
Ladies and gentlemen, now you know what it's like to play fly half for Spencer Robinson. There's always room where he was on the blind side. Here we go. Will Canada clear their lines? Wow, penalty against Canada because they've gone down. Bizarre call, Spence.
Yeah.
Quick tap, though. Off they go. McVeigh. He's 2 meters from the line. He doesn't use the big boys. He goes down once and then a second effort. The try's been given. McVeigh has options. After he's tackled, he's allowed to reach out and score. And look at the American players. Jubilant there.
Well, this part of the game is it's a bit of a mystery why referee Asmus would give that penalty. But Canada, instead of reacting as the Americans did, were a little bit stunned and got caught on their heels. And the Americans took full advantage, especially scrum half.
And the mystery, let me sort of speak for you here. Yeah. Canada's dominated at scrum time. They've had no troubles. That scrum went down 3 times. No subs on the field or anything like that. And yet Canada penalized on their own line where it's almost indefensible when you give up a penalty there. So it must have been a glaring takedown for Asmus to penalize the Canadians there. But it's happened now. 12 points on the board, looking to add 2 more. And right before this half, what a great response from the USA pack. And they found a formula to kick to these corners, and they're getting the drop on the Canadian forwards. Good strike, and it's good. So he's 2 for 2 on his conversions. 25 points to 14.
This is a crucial window in any sport. The 10 minutes before half and 10 minutes after half, where you really want to dominate, not only on the scoreboard, but in terms of momentum. So that's given the Americans a real boost of confidence.
Brasilier seeing a hole in the back corner. Apologies for a little bit of traction on our effects mic. They've gone long, but not out. Oideman hasn't had a touch for a while. Now he's off and running. They look hungry. They haven't had the ball for a while. Brasilier hits Carson midfield. An outstanding tackle from his opposite number.
Use it.
We can hear him directing traffic, Brasilier, but he's told to use it. It's off to Frank Carson this time. Around the corner goes his cousin. The offload keeps the play alive, and Roland, not for the first time, carrying with some hard yards. Bit more energy here from Canada. You can hear it in our mics. The crowd's cheering him on, and the hit and go from Tyler Duguid. Ball still loose.
Ripped by Blue.
Referee here there saying it was ripped out.
Good contest.
So no knock on. That ball went forward, but it was ripped by Blue, so no knock on.
Canada got it back. Offside, look at him, says Brasilier. He's reffing the game as well. He's doing everything out there. Good carry there. Canada's going to recycle. Webster throws almost a hospital pass. James does well to step up field.
7 and 3.
U.S. are going to be penalized through McCormack and Miller. Quick tap. Guess who? Brasilier still going. He's isolated, though. The support arrives. Good work from his teammates to get there.
That's Nick Carson, number 8, hitting it up. And the ball was exposed.
Nguadi's got it. He's dancing around. He likes the open field situation. Finally, a target. Canada will look to attack from here. They're very flat in attack. Webster flat. Goes behind, out the back door. Oideman, nothing on. But good recovery.
Scrum advantage is over.
You heard the referee. The advantage is over. Webster pushes through for himself, but it's blocked. U.S. clean it up, but before they knock it on.
Concern. Well, that's the halftime whistle now. A little bit of concern for me with the Canadian boys. They, despite leading convincingly 25-14, they seem to be slowing the pace of the game down, which I think leads into the hand of the Americans.
Great first half, as you said, 25 points to 14 the lead. Stay with us. We're going to take a 30-second break. Head coach of Canada, leading Canada, qualifying for the 2019 World Cup, will be with us in 1 minute. Come on back.
Today's match is proudly brought to you by Shawnigan Lake School. Rugby Canada would like to thank Shawnigan Lake School for their continued support of the men's and women's under-20 program. Rugby Canada would also like to recognise their premier partners, DHL and Canterbury, for their support of Rugby Canada and today's match. And finally, Rugby Canada would like to thank the following official event partners: Helijet, Langara Fishing Adventures, Bear Mountain Resort, and the Butchert Gardens for their continued support of rugby in Canada. Thank you.
Well, you're hearing our Mike Gareth Reese back here at Shawnigan Lake School alongside Spencer Robinson. The great partners that help us all enjoy the game and play the game. Gilbert Rugby, equipment partner. Canterbury, the kit supplier for Rugby Canada. The Butchart Gardens have been here for over a decade, creating opportunities for these young athletes to go chase their dreams. Shawnigan Lake School, Langara Fishing Lodge, Rick Bourne and his group doing everything they can to create opportunities. Helijet, Troy McDonald, former international, and David Sitnam and his team making it possible for the athletes to get back and forth to the mainland. And DHL, our national team jersey sponsor, our logistics partner, a World Cup sponsor, and hugely important to allowing Canada to get around the world.
Yes, as you mentioned, Gareth, it takes a village, so it's great to have that support of all those sponsors.
So I am joined by head coach Kingsley Jones. Kingsley hired some months ago to get us to the World Cup. Great to have you here, first of all. You've done that. We're heading to the World Cup. And first of all, congratulations. How's it been with the boys since that great moment in November when we took the 20th spot to go to Japan?
Yeah, no, it's been great. Thanks for that introduction. Yeah, it was a tough baptism, really, to get the team prepared for that October challenge. But everyone rose to it, and we're very professional about their job. We've had a little bit of breathing space over the Christmas into ARC, largely with the guys moving into MLR and some challenges around player availability. But yeah, good to see some younger players. Priscilla actually out there today, someone who was involved in that ARC competition, and he's obviously playing beyond his years today, and that was a great experience for him and those likes of those players. So yeah, good. It's 1 week and 100 days from the World Cup start, yeah. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to these guys going to this doubleheader first and foremost, of course.
Just talking about that, as you said, you had the great opportunity to cap Will Priscilla, but that in itself isn't going to help his development. What you're seeing here, the program that's underneath this U20 program, obviously he's getting lots of opportunities, but this is developing our next generation of 7s and 15s players through this U20 program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'd be confident in picking a very good 7s team out of this bunch that are on the field there in terms of Pan Am Games, etc. That's for sure. But no, it's playing in these competitions, playing together, building that team. Qualifying for the trophy is critical in a number of ways, but the biggest thing is for those guys to get our experience of those competitions, traveling together, touring together, and obviously learning. I mean, we've done well today in the game so far, but it's this half to learn more, and again, we repeat it on Saturday, of course.
Spencer Robinson, my colleague, the only man possibly chippier than you on a rugby field, but Spence, Kingsley here.
Very good to see you, Coach Kinsley. Now, you've got some big games coming up in August and September. You've got one in Vancouver against the U.S. and then in Hamilton against Leinster. Really big challenges for your team as you prepare for the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And ahead of that, we've got PNC, where we'll play the U.S. again in July over in Colorado on the way down to play Fiji and Tonga. So some good tests ahead, an opportunity to look at some options. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say there's probably 10, 12 guys we know the makeup of our squad if they keep going as they have been. But we'll be looking to add depth, and we have to have a balance as well of youth and experience. With one eye on 2023, 2019 is important. Hence today, and which of those players, there might be some of these guys playing in those Leinster games, playing in those US games ahead of the World Cup. So there's still places up for grabs. And as I say, there's a couple of guys here today, particularly that are doing themselves a world of good.
Just a reminder, those of you enjoying this, August 24th in Hamilton is the Canada-Leinster game. Tickets at rugby.ca. There's also a fundraising dinner on the 22nd just to help try and get us some money so we can prepare these boys properly. And, whereas the other nations are getting big money for going to the World Cup, many of our players are really struggling to pay their costs. So we're doing all we can to raise money for them. And, of course, September 7th, the last match before you get on the plane to go to Japan against the USA at BC Place. Great to be playing in those good venues. Again, this side here, you're around the country. You're off to Vancouver tomorrow. How important is strong development in the provinces, in the clubs, in the schools to what you're trying to do? And of course, maybe just mention the academy next year that's coming through for the first time back online down in Langford.
Well, it's the lifeblood. It's the lifeblood of Canadian rugby and of any rugby. You have to be. We should be in performance. You're looking at not tomorrow. You're looking at 8 years' time, first and foremost 4 years' time. So those are critical factors, and I think the guys been involved in this program since I've been here. Anyway, I can say they've done a fantastic job, and the alignment is critical as well from the top down. We need to have proven pathways for when the likes of Phil Mack move on. That transition isn't felt badly. You need the next man, or next taxi off the rank, and that's just one example. So it's critical to us. The two teams being in, I say two teams, but obviously Seattle Seawolves have a number of Canadians playing in their team on Sunday in a semi-final of the MLR, along with the Toronto Arrows, who've done a fantastic job in the first season. So there's lots of positives. And don't forget, Avery Otenman out there today is actually a regular for the Arrows. So it's helping these younger players, not just at national level, the 20s as well. Some of these guys are getting regular rugby at MLR.
You've got to be happy after the MLR action on the weekend. Both Seattle and Toronto into a semi-final. So we're going to have a solid group of Canadian players. Whoever wins that match this weekend, Sunday down in Seattle, whoever wins that match, you're going to have Canadians in the MLR final again.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice. It's a clipper ride 2 hours. So I was praying for Seattle to be a home semi-final. And of course, like you said, we will have players playing in the MLR final, whether it be Seawolves or Toronto. So that's fantastic. And the Arrows particularly, they're learning how to win, which is crucial. They've won a number of games in the last few weeks, 6 on the trot now, and they won a number of those games in the last 5-10 minutes, and that's a really good habit. They're learning how to close game outs, stay in the fight. They've been trailing, as I said, and they stay in the fight and then winning games, and that's massive, and that'll stand the national team in good stead, I'm sure, with a number of those players already in the national setup, but we'll step up into that in the future as well.
Good. And just final question, you mentioned the development pathway for players, but obviously coaching is an issue in Canada. We don't perhaps have as many as we like, but this has been a great opportunity, this U20 program. We mentioned Jeff Williams, the head coach, is in his 5th year. Adam Roberts, David Butcher, also working with Gethin Watch, who's a consultant of ours over from Europe, who gets this stuff, age grade stuff. We've obviously had a coaching change in Canada. Damon McGrath, very popular, did a lot of work around the country, but performance just wasn't there the last few months. What is it? What is the importance of coaching, and what do we really need to do to bring through our Canadian coaches?
Well, it's a good question. There's talent ID with players, which we're doing here, but you need to ID your best potential coaches. They might not be your best potential players in the past. They might be guys not necessarily with 50, 60 caps, but certainly the likes of Ray Barkwell, who stood over there alongside me, getting involved with the U18s. Those are types of guys with those characteristics, leadership qualities, those experiences from playing, and need to be given an opportunity to see if they can transfer that into coaching. There's no guarantee, but those are the types of players, your Phil Max and all these guys will be playing hopefully for another year or so, but the reality is they're guys with a lot of experience, both sevens, that need to be attached to national team. They need to be attached to the age grades teams and just given that opportunity, but they don't need to be thrown in the deep end either. They need support and they need expertise, and I think that's something that we've discussed a lot in the last 6 months, is who are the coaches in 2024, 2028, 2033. We need to give those Canadian guys an opportunity to develop as those coaches.
Well, fantastic. Great to have you here. Thanks for sharing some thoughts. 2019 is the now in Japan, but obviously 2023 is what the future of Canadian rugby is, and many of these players will feature. Kingsley Jones, ladies and gentlemen, your head coach. Thanks, Kings.
Thank you.
So, U.S. kickoff long to Canada. Canada up 25 points to 14. Tries 2 by Persilier, 1 by Richard and Oideman in the first half, and Persilier resumes normal service with a booming kick downfield. Well gathered, and they go midfield. Use it as the call from the USA bench. You can hear it. They want to get something going. A good short line from the captain, Wilson. But Canada up to the task. Flat ball, we were winding up a little bit on that pass. Wendling having to work hard. Again, first receiver is Wiles. Oh, through the middle, goes the loose forward. McCormack, it's spilled though, and Oideman gets his hands on it. So, The initial break from McCormack comes to nothing for U.S.
U.S. coming out with more of a positive attitude, stringing 2 or 3 passes together.
There's a little bit of wind at the Canadians' back. That's a better kick from Brasilier. A little bit of indecision from the chasers. Richard didn't know whether to play the ball or make the tackle. So U.S. secure possession, and their big men start going. Chase Jones, St. Mary's product, a great Northern Cal University, produced some incredible athletes and a great program for a small school.
Well, already in the second half, the Americans have tipped the ball on 3 times, so trying to get more width on their game. Obviously, that's the discussion at halftime.
That's getting away from just that first receiver, taking the contact. And there's a quick pick, go around the corner. Goes the lock. Carter, can he get there? 10 meters. Oideman up to the tackle for Canada. Carter brought down, but U.S. still threatening.
That's really testing the Canadian defense around the fringes.
Perhaps not surprisingly, McVeigh backs himself. He's got 1 in the first half, but not on this occasion. 5 meters from the line. Ruck's formed. Slow ball. There's a little bit of indecision there. There's another pick from the base. Now just 2 meters out. McVeigh lets it go. Dancing out of 1 tackle and over the line goes the fullback. I believe that is Sam Walsh. He's playing at first receiver there. Just the start that Coach Scott Bracken wanted. U.S. back into this game, and who let the dogs out indeed?
Well, you've got to say that is fantastic play from the Americans. Textbook stuff, always on the front foot. Their captain, Bailey Wilson, taking them forward. Asa Carter doing the same from the second row. And then some great decision-making by scrum half McVeigh to use his big, heavy runners and look for those seams just 5 meters off the ruck.
So we look to add the extras. And we're just going to be joined here, another little chat by a gentleman who's made a lot of this happen here. To stay on the kick here with Mike Weir. And Weir hits it. And it's good.
Very well done. That's a superb start by the Americans for this second period.
So a man who won't necessarily be happy with that is a former national team coach, Dr. Pat Parfrey from Newfoundland. The one-cap wonder. It's done a great deal to put these Canadian boys on the field and a lot of preparation. First of all, Pat, congratulations to you and your group for getting these boys the support they need.
Thanks, Gareth.
You won't be happy with that first try by the U.S. This one stayed in, though. We'll stay with this for a sec. Oideman has been outstanding in the first half. He knocks it forward.
What a mistake by the Canadian hooker. Unfortunately, Jared Augustine playing that knock-on in front of his player, so now it's a penalty, not just a scrum.
So, Dr. Parfrey, we noticed the Americans playing with a bit more width. The first half was all 1 pass out, 1 runner, but they seem to be a bit more confident tipping the ball on.
Right.
We know they're athletic, but we've got to. Canada can't make mistakes like that.
And they're coming inside our post defense as well, close to the rocks.
And for you, Pat, you're the IRB Council rep for Rugby Canada. You just come off a meeting, sort of controversial globally, and we'll stay with the game, but some interesting decisions about World League and stuff going on at the very highest levels of the world game.
Well, there's no decisions yet, but there are proposals. There's a proposal for a Tier 1 championship with 12 teams and also for a Tier 2 championship with 10 teams, including Canada. So the Canada the US are getting inside our post and causing a lot of hassle.
Those tight runs around the corner. This man's been impressive in the second half. That's McCormack from St. Cathedral's High School. Sit down. The big man's still on his feet. That is the substitute prop, Lepetti, and he's brought an injection of pace. And there's a Canadian player down on the field. And the man down is actually Flesh. So with the flow, U.S. finding holes. A 50-50 ball that's been won by Zulani. His strength wins the day there, although it's come back. U.S. 2-on-1, show and go from Mike Weir. The Dartmouth, the Big Green are under the posts, but they're wearing a USA jersey. Huge try for Mike Weir.
Trying again, another try.
Well, Dr. Parfrey, you've been in this situation many times yourself. Can you imagine the conversation the American coach had with his charges to elicit this kind of response in the first 10 minutes of the second half?
Well, they got their momentum in the first half, and particularly scoring just before half-time. And we were leading by 20 points after 20 minutes and lost a line out. They got a penalty down the corner and they got a driving line out and scored from it. So the momentum has changed in this game, and I think it's going to be difficult for Canada now to switch this momentum. But they have the wind, so if they can get into their half, they can get the momentum back.
Yeah, concern for Canadian supporters here. Just want to give you an opportunity here. I know you've activated and you've really got behind this under-20 program with your team of fundraisers, some other gentlemen and ladies to help you. Just why is it so important to build the U20s, and what can people do to help if they want to get behind our next generation athletes?
Well, our opposition, which include Portugal and Uruguay, etc., they're centralised. They play far more games than we do, and when we're playing them in the World Trophy, they're better prepared than we are. So last year we were better prepared. We're still beaten. We're just not getting enough games. We're not together enough, and this team has been far better prepared now. So we'll see how they go for the next 30 minutes plus the game on Saturday. But they've been together longer. They've gone on tour to Portugal and Spain, and they should be playing better than last year. At the moment, they're being outplayed for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we will let you get back to it, but you're a man who's coached at the very highest level, took a Canada team to the Rugby World Cup in 2019. First of all, what do you think the challenges are? Obviously, Canada with South Africa and New Zealand, to name two in their pool. And also, how important is it for this next generation to get the support they need when they be the makeup of the 2023 team?
Well, obviously the challenge is to get more young players playing the game and having them for both 7s and 15s. So this is what the under-20 program is trying to do, and it's what the Pride is trying to do. The United States are playing very well here, I have to say. Yeah,
they've turned it on. Well, thank you, Pat Parfrey, head of the U20 fundraising group. If you do want to help out, go to rugby.ca/donate, and I'm sure the information's up there. And
so if you want to contact me, pparfrey@mon.ca.
Oh, there's a lot of people who are going to take an opportunity they've been wanting for a while, Dr. Parfrey. All right, thanks very much. Get back to the action and see if Canada can get back into this one.
Thanks, Gareth.
Dr. Pat Parfrey, Rugby Canada's World Rugby Rep. So finally, Canada gets a break. And the U.S. using some fresh legs on the field. We mentioned earlier that the prop Lopetti came on and made an impact. And it looks like Vikalani's on for Canada.
Yes, for number 7. Mason Fleischer took that heavy contact from the U.S. substitution.
Yeah, Will Matthews was already out. His hip injury kept him out of starting this game in the 7 jersey. Flesch came in quite late in the day. Question is also, there's a game on Saturday, so these athletes need to be ready for that as well. Interesting insights from both Kingsley Jones, the current head coach, and a former head coach, Dr. Pat Parfrey. Clearly, people are allowed to email him. Scrum's gone down, free kick to Canada. Here they go, tap and go from Carson. And the big man's in full flight, Vikalani.
That was number 8 to number 8, because Vikalani is a natural number 8, taking that ball from Carson.
And good coaching there just to mix things up a bit. And that pass doesn't go to hand. Knock on, says the referee, and it's loose, and off they go. U.S. through Faletau. Keep it alive, and they've got under real confidence here, Spencer. It's almost like it's a different team's come out in the blue jerseys.
Well, it's so important that halftime discussion, even as Dr. Parfrey mentioned, they've really taken the momentum away from the Canadians. We'll see if we can grasp it back.
Webster puts that one up, not able to gather it. Captain goes from the base, and as he mentioned, there's some space around the guard area, the fringes of that ruck for Canada.
Yeah, once again, Canada's really showing some vulnerability there, almost tempting the Americans to truck the ball up.
Well, it's deemed unplayable, so scrum to Canada. And I know we mentioned off the top the game plan was to use big Quinn Nguati, hands on the ball, get some go forward, and then let these great halfbacks, Webster, Brasilia, run around. This is a great opportunity with a midfield strike. Also with Oideman in great form with 1 try to his name already. What will Canada choose to do here? What's your call, Spence? Midfield scrum?
One of the most dangerous positions defensively on the team. when you're in the rugby game is that midfield scrum, because you can only play so many players forward and you've got to play someone back to cover for the kick. So the advantage really is for Canada to show 2 fly halves, 2 first receivers, one side and the other, and then at the last moment decide which side has the numerical advantage and go that way.
So what they're showing is 2 on each side with 10 and 13, Webster and Casey in behind. Another scrum's gone down, and a few comments saying be consistent. Of course, Canada penalized on their own try line, effectively giving up a try at scrum time.
Very difficult area of the game to referee, especially if you haven't played in the front row, and judging by the body type of referee Asmus, he hasn't spent a lot of time in the front row, but he's making some difficult calls based on what he sees. So he's on the loose head side for the Americans, and he's going to keep a really close eye on Tyler Rowland and Jack Wiles as well.
Okay.
That's perfect. Tie now.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Well, really good. You hear the commands from the referee, controlling tempo. They weren't set. Off they go. Carson taps and goes. Nowhere near 10, but play on, said the ref.
It's off ahead.
Off ahead, which is not a knock on. Priscilla outside of the right boot. In fact, not on the right boot. He's knocked it on. And guess who? He's been a huge impact, Lopetti. I wonder if the coaches knew he could have this much impact, but he's changed it. They've kicked the ball away.
That's 2 instances, Gareth, in the last 30 seconds where, in my opinion, the Canadian players have been a little bit casual. First, it was Percillier, that loose kick that was blocked, and then Oideman again. With that much pressure coming on, this much on the line, and 3 points down, we need to make sure you're getting your kicks in early and playing down in the American half of the field.
Jack Wendling working really hard off the ball for the States, getting that block kick. Again, the man from Central Washington. A little bit of confusion there. Canada and the pod come forward.
Thank you.
Through Carson and James, but
in and set, please.
And Jack Wiles has been replaced in the American team.
What a throw. James is held up for it. So now Dingwadi, not brought down, keeps it alive, still asking questions. Webster goes wide again and flat. This is better, more positive from Canada. Now they got options. Let's do good. Takes a while to get to the ground, but he does. The American player's trapped. Will he be penalized?
That's what Percillier's asking for, showing the referee that he's laying on the ball. Ref's not having any of it.
Again, now it's Canada a little bit static back. Give and go from Webster and Nguadi. Trying to use that fend, but it won't work at this level. Of course, the man who played some rugby for the Wolfpack last year, his family, big league fans. Great opportunity for him as a young man to get to Toronto and be a part of that. But now it's Rugby Union 15s, and his team is down 28 points to 25 here in the first of 2 World Under-20 Trophy qualifiers. And Canada kicked the ball away. So you got to credit the U.S. They put up the defensive wall, and they forced Canada to kick away. Weir looking for something. He's found it. He's right through the middle. It's gone loose and well cleaned up. Now it's Canada off and running through their substitute, Vikalani. There's no one home for the U.S. if they want to kick through Canada, but now Weir goes back to the fullback position. A little bit slow arriving. It's off the side of the boot. Will it sit down? No, it's gone straight out. Spencer, as impressive as Will Percillier is, I'm going to have to say his kicking game has not been particularly precise. He won't be happy with it.
No, I think he'll be disappointed because he's putting his teammates not only under a lot of pressure, as you saw from that last kick return from Weir, but he's also any good things that we want to capitalize on with a kick to the corner, we can't.
Yeah, Percillier obviously an impact player. Just one of the challenges of being a talented age grade player. He's got 2 tries, a conversion and a penalty, but you can't do it all yourself. You need to engage your teammates, and that's one of the things that needs to be learned.
And this is where you learn them, under these conditions, under this kind of pressure. The Americans going away again now with
that one spilled by the U.S. Well, the crowd's even picked up here.
Number 6 sub.
Yeah, I think some Americans have made the trip north of the border. They've definitely got some support in the stands here.
Time off. Yeah.
Time's going to be off here. Sub for Canada.
Time check, please.
And stuff for U.S. as well.
And it's going to be Stefan Zulani, the Thornhill, Ontario man.
Just let me know when we're all clear.
Trained to be an engineer, part of the Revitalized Queens program. Listed as one of his future hopes for rugby. Going to a World Cup. No, winning the Nationals with Queens.
Oh, nice.
They want to set the record straight. Of course, they beat UVic out here last year in the Canadian University Men's 15s Championship.
Fine.
Great to see the foundation and
Set.
Rugby Canada and a lot of good people supporting the special group that's come together to support the Canadian University Men's 15s Champions. Keep an eye out for it next year at Concordia. It'll be a great competition. Lots of these athletes featured. Mikelani looking for help. He gets it.
And a great clean out by Nick Carson. Watch for the box kick. And the chasers can get there at the same time. Give no room to these Americans.
That's an interesting kick midfield. Nguadi's bearing down on him. Can't get the hit in. Canada just slow on the chase. And credit Sam Walsh. He's really stepped up his game. And this time, groans from the American fans. But McVeigh puts in a nice kick. Bracelier deals with. Oh, sorry, there is Bracelier. Should know, Richards dealt with it. Bracelier stepped out of 2 tackles. It's definitely been the strongest part of his game here. His open field running. And now Richards says, no, the big boys, you can have it. Let's see if we can trundle up and try and get Bracelier on his feet.
Unfortunately, a knock-on from Canadian tight head Roland, just as picking up from that ruck, but great footwork, as you mentioned, from Bracelier. He's, when he's got the ball in hand, he's really got his swagger on, and he's just knocking people over on defensively, making them fall.
Well, here you go, USA is the call from below. They've found their voice in the second half, and the team has found their form. They have put in 14 unanswered points to start the second half. We are back in the 10 hole. Good width here from the U.S. There's Walsh on his toes. The white boots. He steps out of 1. Good work from Casey to bring him down, though.
Garrett, this is a different USA team in the second half. That's the first time they've moved at 4 passes from first phase possession.
Yeah, we know they're athletic. I just think perhaps they haven't had as much time together. Weren't as confident with their combination. That one spilled. James can't get it. But Canada's staunch defense has paid off.
Good point you made about time together, Gareth, again. But when you think about this team from the second half, from the first half, and it's just been an attitude switch. So they haven't had any more time together, but they've gone into the change room and said, hey, we're not going to beat these guys 3 points at a time. We want to get 7 on the board. And they've come out and they've done that, as you mentioned, 14 unanswered points.
And credit Coach Scott Bracken. He's with the Claremont Colleges, a team from California that played in the Enscrow competition. This year they didn't win it. They did win last year. It was won by the New Mexico group at the Penn Mutual Collegiate Rugby Championships.
Canada have overloaded the right side of their scrum, so lots of space on the left should they choose.
They're keeping it in. They're looking for the penalty. Will they get it?
No.
It's all broken up in front. The referee hasn't blown him up. There's the penalty.
And he's penalized them for offside. Now, in my humble opinion, Gareth, I think the referee could have called long before that because the Americans had not engaged. They weren't pushing straight in the scrum. You've seen it. They wheeled a little bit. For some referees, they would have penalized them even before the ball was out.
Yeah, they disintegrated. Now that kick is missed. Oh, no. The flag goes up from Mr. Derek Horton. Keeps the refereeing tradition alive in that family. Great servants of the game on the whistle. But, Spence, you note that broke up that scrum. This is where the tactics now become important. What tactics are Bracelier and Webster gonna choose in a 15s game, Especially Webster's been playing a lot of 7s. You want to get back to a grinding game, use that scrum advantage. They're getting some calls from it and start to build a game plan. It's not all just throwing it out wide. Although they will go through Nguadi. This is it, half break. Could he offload? No, he doesn't need to. Quentin Nguadi, the local boy from Victoria, St. Michael's University School. Oh, there's a bit of pushing and shoving after the whistle. The Americans not happy with the celebration.
What a fantastic try taken and really just bulldoze his way over Quinn Nagwadi.
Canada retakes the lead through the big man, West Shore Rugby Club. New Zealand heritage. And that conversion will be under the sticks, which is always nice if you will Priscilliate. Really, Spencer, he just stepped out of 2 tackles and he was too strong. He threatened to offload to his center partner, Gabriel Casey, but he didn't need him in the end.
No, and you wonder, too, that's why you get defenses will fall off a tackle when they're fearing the offload, so they won't go in as committed when they know a guy like Quinn Nagwadi, he's got those long levers and a great skill to get that ball away, so they don't do a fully committed, and then he runs out of the tackle and scores himself.
Priscilliate adds another conversion. 32 points for Canada to 28 for the U.S.
Oh, this is a real nail-biter. Now we'll see how much pressure these young men can handle. You don't want to be that player that makes that tiny mistake that gives a team an opportunity to put 3 points on the board.
And just to repeat, this is a 2-match series tonight, Tuesday night here in Vancouver Island at Shawnigan Lake School, and Saturday the second game, and it's a points aggregate that will get the winning team, the representative from North America, to go to the World Rugby Under-20 trophy. This kick goes long. Will it go dead? No, Webster's going to field it. Gets on his preferred right boot. Clean strike from him all the way back to the halfway. Say, there you go, boys. Let's start from there.
It's a pretty good return. The Americans have only gained 9 meters, but they will have possession.
Hope you're enjoying the coverage here. #rugby.ca. We got some good comments. Sweet job, Canada. Hope to see you in Brazil. Max Sonneval. That's still up for grabs, Max. Good handling and fast, great teamwork from Robert. And the best Canada has looked in a while from David Jones. So I don't think he was referring to the 10 minutes prior to that try, but it is a good battle on here. And this Canada team is solid, according to Rick. And the great Frenchman come Québécois rugby legend Francois Ratier rightfully identified that Canada need to increase the pace if they want to change the momentum, and that's exactly what happened prior to that Nagwadi try. And I think Francois has been around a bit. He knows that they needed to change something, and they found it. So
yeah, Francois is one of our great rugby minds in this country. So I would take him at his word on that.
It worked. So around the corner goes Carter. Is he isolated? No, says the referee. Oh, really good tackle on the fringe there from the winger, bringing down the prop, and that was Dashkowicz. So Canada upping their defensive intensity. Well, Vicolani thought he had a steal, but no, said the ref. Nowhere to go for the U.S. at the moment. They're showing, offloading. Falatau, the sevens component, not enough room. It's knocked on.
Great work, even at the breakdown. So Canada's line kept holding, bending but not breaking. But then the pressure you put at the breakdown to slow that ball down forced the American scrum half to kind of dig in there a little bit more urgently than he needed to and force a knock on.
It's going to be interesting use of subs here. As we see off the field goes Frank Carson. Substitute. Didn't quite see who came on for him, but it's going to be not only preserving resources for next Saturday, but trying to keep the fresh legs, that tempo that Ratier talked about. You can only do it when players are ready to go and ready to work and run.
Watch the American scrum half, the new player, Palaciamo Breeze, who's come into the game. I actually think his pass is quicker than McVeigh's, so maybe the Americans are looking to keep the tempo up as well.
Back to the formula, Nagwadi fends off. He's in open field. Who can get on his shoulder? Webster's to his left. He's going to use him. He doesn't need to. He's going to go all the way for the second time in 4 minutes. Quinn Nagwadi.
Wonderful individual try.
What a score by Nagwadi, cutting the American defense to shreds, creating his own holes, and then fending, and the threat of a fend going around the American number 10 as well.
Well, Spencer, we've seen scenes like that just down the road in Victoria playing for his St. Michael's University School, but that was high school ball. This is international age grade ball, and he's looking like, a class above an attack anyways.
Well, a great thing about Quinn, he is young, but he's got that physique already. Even grade 12 or his first year at university, he just blossomed into really strong, athletic young man. His time with the Wolfpack has really benefited Canadian Rugby Union as well, and he's showing some of those skills on display today here. The eye for the gap and the power to get through it, and then the pace to finish off after 40 meters is fantastic.
And, you know, further proof that this is a developing ground for 7s and 15s. He's been involved training with the 7s group, but now the group will train together on those core skills and all the S&C work that needs to be done. Matt Barr, the head of S&C here, keeping an eye on this program and developing rugby players that can serve either the 7s or the 15s. Cause Brasilia with a bit of a gusty wind here, pushes it to the left. So after these 2 tries by Nguati, it is a 9-point advantage for Canada.
Yeah, Nguati has really just grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck and just said, hey, come on, I'm going to carry this team forward. Defensively, he's been solid, and then offensively to put the team going forward like that. It's a really strong character by the young man.
I wonder if Coach Bracken may make some changes to the U.S. Looks like Canada maybe bring on a change, and that could be Isherwood, Thomas Isherwood. He scored a hat trick here against Crimson Tide last week in the warm-up game.
That's
Guess who? Guess who? Nguati's still going, still bouncing, still rolling. He's starting to look like Sonny Bell, his idol. Finally a ruck for Canada. Brasilia's going to go to the box again. Webster, not the biggest man, but he's on the chase. He goes up in the air. There's contact. It's spilled. Two players in the air and a little bit awkward. The American man, Weir, who's fought hard up here, went down. Credit Webster for challenging him in the air.
That was a very even contest in the air. You see both players, eyes on the ball, both going up. They both had a realistic chance of catching that ball. So the contact there in the air, no infringements in terms of the laws of the game.
And important about skill execution, even the very best players, Will Brasilia in this case, a perfectly weighted and distance kick, and that makes a difference. That puts the U.S. under pressure. It doesn't give them a free ball.
That's right. That's right. That's one of his better kicks today, giving his team a chance to compete for it.
So Canada overloading to the bottom of your screen. Oidemann's lurking in behind Webster. There's no one on the blind. Carson's off the back. He's been given pretty free license to run off scrum, but remember, penalty last scrum time, and the U.S. disintegrated. They stay together for the moment, and Brasilia's going to use it. Now he's been given license. He's gone. He's stepped again. He's got the pace. Really good tackle from the American winger of Wakavesi. Still Canada. A little bit frantic here. And Brasilia is hobbling to come in the scrum half roll. He's taking a shot to the leg. And he's called for the pick and go for the big boys. They're lining up. It's James on the ball. He steps inside. He's put in a pretty decent body of work here. Pushes it through Webster. It's a set piece. Can it bounce up? Beautifully timed. And just reward for Gabriel Casey.
What skill, what vision by Brock Webster, the number 10. Not an easy option, but once he recognized that the Americans were flat in defense with no one in behind, that was the play to make, and a fantastic finish by Gabriel Casey.
Well, I love seeing reward for that. The man is currently at UBC, Ontario product though. Captain the under-19 Ontario side at CRC. All day he's done his work. He's been outside in Nguati. He's been doing cleaning out. He's been doing all the basics. And his opportunity came made for by Webster. And great to see him rewarded. That's good team play from him.
Nguati stepping up.
Wow. Look how far back he's taking it. This is crazy. This is like junior high stuff. He's a sweet striker of the ball, but just a lot more room for error coming back that far. But he's put it through. So that is because Brasilia took that shot on the leg. He's still on the field, and they've gone to the backup kicker, Nguati, who adds to his 2 tries. Well, it's a try-fest here. 44 points for Canada. This period, Spencer, because of the format of these 2 games and point difference, as important as anything, the fact that you're up, in Canada's case, by 16 points is really irrelevant. It's about not letting the Americans score anymore, and if they can get some more Canada, then so be it.
Yeah, this two-game format's quite interesting because the one lapse in that first game might be the deciding factor over the two games. Both, it's kind of like a chess match over 160 minutes that these countries are playing against each other.
Sam Gall off the field, the Cal player. On for him is Matt Galhouse.
That's the first contestable the Americans have put up, and they've actually won the ball back from their own kickoff. You see these guys want to play.
Oh, knocked on again.
The second knock on, pardon me, at the breakdown from the Americans. Just a little bit anxious, so they want to play this fast game, but maybe not as used to it as the Canadians are, and there seems that they're making mistakes right at the pace of the game.
And we talked about the 7s and 15s. Junior Vacavesi, who trains at Chula Vista with Mike Friday, and the larger 7s training group down there full-time, as does his center teammate Falatau. But those are the moments you don't get. He's arriving at an 8-man ruck, and he's looking up to see where the options are, and he just knocked that one on.
Again, Gareth, and if Canada gets some points or as a result of that knock-on, that could have a significant impact on this two-game format.
Brasilia is still in the game. He's juggling the ball.
Bind.
I'm sure he's had a look. The blind side is marked at the moment. He went last time. The slap, the hook, the drive from Canada. Eyes up. He's directing traffic. It's going to go wide to Webster. They're keeping it in the hands. They're backing themselves. Oh, it's the short ball to Casey. Now it's pushed into space. There's no one there. It's a foot race. Richards is on his bike. He can't get it. It's really well gathered by the substitute, Jason Green. Didn't he do well in a defensive role? Sorry, that's Jasper Green. And now it's the U.S. who build the attack. McCormack brought down. They look through the middle. They've had some success there. Looking for the steal. Oh, a tough call there.
Elbows first, off feet.
You heard the referee's mic there. He's saying that he hit the ground first before he went on the ball, Brock Webster. A very tough call on the Canadian player.
He said elbows first, so he's right on the case. In great position, Asmus, the referee there. But he's saying that Webster didn't support his own weight as he was stealing that ball. I don't know. I think it have a little chat afterwards on that one, but can't argue with position.
Yeah, it's always tough. Your vantage point is you've got to kind of give it up to the referee to be fair. They're right there. He was in a great position. It looked like a clean turnover to me, but obviously he was better sighted.
16th point, the deficit for U.S. at the moment. Jack Manzo will be throwing in to a 5-man lineout. U.S. looking to find that form they started the second half with a couple of quick tries. It's tap back. Here we go. Quick hands, midfield, good hard yards. Now they're pushing it through the hands. There's Sam Walsh keeping it alive. They've got some potent runners out in midfield. But Canada up to the task. A little slow to regroup. In fact, they're offside midfield, but referee's played on. He hasn't turned.
He's missed the ball.
You hear yes, yes, yes. He said he's missed the ball. They were trying to steal it. There's Walsh. He looks inside. It's knocked forward, advantage to U.S. He's broken one tackle, but not from Priscilla. He chops him down. Through the hands, but a decent outcome for U.S. Now they get it into Carter's hands. He steps one. He's been athletic and quite effective today. That's a Carter on the ball. U.S. bringing real energy and pace to it. Canadian defender's on his feet looking for the steal, doesn't get it. So Wakavesi pushes it wide. They've got numbers for the moment, but the pass is behind and it's knocked on.
Oh, the referee's playing on through the... Oh, yes, he's got it, Gareth. You're absolutely right.
So Chris Noggle, just if he'd had that ball in front of him, could have threatened the Canadians.
Well, you hear a lot of coaches who'll keep saying about front football, especially in the 7-side game, and that was a classic example of a ball that was behind the receiver. Totally had to slow the attack, force a knock on. So all those, when you hear coach say front football, they want that ball out in front of the receiver so they don't have to check their run, and you avoid the potential of reaching back and creating a knock on.
Yeah, Jack Wendell guilty of not putting that pass in front. This is his second Junior World Trophy qualifier.
Yeah, that was a fantastic series of possessions by the Americans. They were moving it from sideline to sideline, really precise in their handling and looking to offload the ball out of contact. And as we mentioned, the new scrum half, Palasemamu Breeze, really zipping that ball out to his first receiver.
A couple of tired bodies on the field.
It's a chance for Canada once again to clear their lines. Scrum just outside their 22.
Which one is coming off, sir?
No, number 12, Quinn Nagwadi, has taken a lot on his shoulders, and I'm sure he'll be asked to do even more. Look for the number 8, Nick Carson, to pick up and find Nagwadi in the middle of the field to create some space for Persilier to either kick to the corner or another contestable into the middle of the field.
So Lopetti's coming off the field. It's a bit of a shot. He had serious impact when he came on, so Canadian fans will perhaps be happy to see that. On fresh legs, I think it's going to be Braden Looper.
Bind. Set.
Canada's lined up as if they could move the ball. They've got 2 men in behind that front line of attack.
Use it now.
Well, because of the format that we talked about, they're going to go blind with Carson and Persilier. Persilier steps inside. Finally, he's brought down by the first tackler. It's been a rare occasion in this game. And Carson's got his hands on the ball, which can't be a good sight for the American defense. And look at those Canadian pack. They're over the ball. You could throw a blanket over them. They know what their job is. Secure possession. And this kick's coming. It's really high. It's too short. The U.S. has it. Yes, from the American bench, because they have a chance to mount the attack and close the 16-point gap. Walsh nowhere to go, but he steps out of 2 tackles. Nagwadi misses him. Walsh is going. That's the experience of the man. He finally got the white boots moving. Good work from the substitute. Palasemamu Breeze. So the fans sensing this one's in the balance. There is the substitute prop. It's Doug Mitchell. Good first carry for him. Walsh on it again. The nice flat ball to his captain. He steps 1. Can he step 2? He's still going 5 meters out. He knocks over the rest. He's over the line. Bailey Wilson. A captain's try. Puts the team on his back and scores under the post.
Absolutely incredible. That was a number 8. Just brushing off the tackles. First, a severe angle, such precision. Soft hands to take the ball, and then just swatting away defenders to score under the post.
You got to credit his line of run, but Quinn Nagwadi will not be happy with his defense in the first up. He had him, just didn't put the shoulder in. It was an arm tackle. So right back in it. 33 points for the U.S., 44. And as you said, Spencer, this isn't about closing out a game for the last 10 minutes. This is about continuing to play, keep that scoreboard ticking over. This may as well be the first minute of Game 2 on Saturday.
That's right. As we mentioned earlier, it's that chess game mentality, so that, or even a boxing match mentality. I think the Americans might have been playing rope-a-dope in that first 40 minutes, giving Canada a false sense of security, 20 unanswered points, and now they've really come back as a real class team.
Well, I think one of the things that Canada's been fairly happy is their conditioning. Mylan Claremont's put in a mountain of work on behalf of these players. Nick Carson and a few others really changing their shape and their fitness as Canada's penalized here at the breakdown. So this is when it pays off, all that work in the gym. Nick Carson's comment was Mylan has helped him so much that he's finally made his squat bigger than his bench.
That's saying something.
But this is when the professional side of the game, you heard Kingsley Jones talk about it, you heard Dr. Parfrey talk about what our opposition's doing for both these teams, and the fitness and the ability to execute under pressure comes from the training room. So U.S. with a line out. Slow to the line out. I think they're trying to control the tempo. That ball is gathered by Gelhaus. He did well with the left hand. Oh, and Duguid's on it, just holding him up. Canada guilty of not finishing off some tackles here in the last few minutes.
Oh,
they've stolen it. Facilier is going to push it in behind, and he's got the pace to finish. He gets blocked out. Good sort of gamesmanship there from the veteran Walsh. He blocked him out. No penalty. And there's going to be a penalty for high tackle against Canada. Quick tap, they go. Through Vakavesi, then it goes wide. I think U.S. knowing they've got to get tempo on this ball. It's the only way they can let their athleticism go. The likes of Walsh, hot stepping. The big man who hasn't had a lot of room out there, Vakavesi.
Yeah, the Americans definitely trying to dictate the tempo of this game.
Well, they'll never quit, the Eagles. They're proud. Play on, said the ref. As Duguid hinted at stealing the ball. Good chop tackle there.
That's Reed Davis.
Yeah, great. Exactly what you want from your impact players, your subs. Reed Davis comes straight in and takes the American down.
Yeah, Reed's a bit of a gamer. I'd watch for Reed in the future. A guy can play in the second row or the back row, number 6. Formerly of the Bayside Club, now playing his trade over here on the island.
Yeah, product of Adam Roberts, Earl Marriott group out there. Wants to be a carpenter and wants to have a shot at playing the MLR. He keeps tacking like that, he'll get a game. So thanks for joining us here. We're really happy to bring you this action. And on Saturday, the 2019 World Rugby Under-20 Trophy Qualifiers here, the 2-game series, Canada and the U.S. They're fighting for the right to play in Brazil. 5th to the 21st in July. We're at #RugbyCA if you want to send us a message. If one of your club mates or high school mates is out here, let us know. Been a really interesting game. Just to summarize, Canada started off well and took a dominant lead. Up 25-14 at the half, and then straight out of the gates, 14 unanswered points was the USA, taking the lead 26 points to 25, 28 points to 25, and then Canada stormed back with a couple tries from Ningwadi, adding to that 2 for Pasilier, Casey, Richard, and Oideman all adding.
It was very interesting for me, Gareth, in this second half when you talk about preparation time. Continuity is something you usually see that it goes out the window the more substitutions you make, but the Americans somehow seem to be playing a more fluid game, even with all the substitutions they've made.
Well, I'd suggest it's just their pure athleticism as we see running around with the ball in one hand. Jasper Green. They've got their tries from Walsh, Weir, McVeigh, and Manzo. And they're still going to have possession here. Canada penalized. So these are momentum killers when you get penalized. It goes behind to Walsh. He demands the ball. He is the man they're all looking to. As is Ningwadi. He spins him back. A much better tackle for Ningwadi here. The big unit on the field is Will Vakalani. Still going is Jack Manzo, the starting hooker. Real energy. Their bench is spurring them on. Solid tackle there from Duguid.
Offside this time. Canada, little bit in discipline on both corners of the field. Canada offside on this ruck. The U.S. possibly looking to go to the corner and create a line-out drive opportunity. That kick looks infield. Very bad mistake from the U.S.
Straight out so he can play. It's a quick line out is what that is. Off and running is Green. He's added a spark here. That's his job. The hooker goes through the middle. He's got 10 meters to go. The jersey grab from Isherwood was just enough, but Canada's still under pressure. Now they counter-ruck and get the ball. There's the conditioning, Spencer. They worked hard to get back.
What a counter ruck by Duguid. That was amazing to get back to your own goal line and force a turnover.
And Priscilla's going to kick it off the field. He knows how much time is left. And that was a huge moment when we look at the score and get the calculators out on Saturday afternoon. Will that be the moment we remember? Tyler Duguid with Isherwood's jersey grab tackle. The final score, 44 points for Canada, 33 for the U.S. Spencer, your comments just firstly to that last bit of play, which may be so significant.
Well, that last bit, there's two things there. The foot in touch that the touch judge missed. That was an illegal quick line out from the Americans because the player was actually in the field. But even failing that, Canada never giving up. And for one of your tight five who's played the whole game to come back and then force a counter ruck and turn over the ball for his team in the last minute of the game, that's a real show of heart.
So a win from Canada, an early statement in this two-match series, despite 2 tries from Persili and his class shining throughout. You know, some accuracy issues that I'm sure he'll address. 2 tries from Nguati, huge, important. 10 minutes for him, lifting his side. Casey, Richard, Oideman also adding. But for me, the man of the match for Canada, sort of indicative of the work that was put in up front by the likes of Zulani, Augustin, Roland, Carson, 2 Carsons, and James. But Tyler Duguid, the second row, epitomized the hard work, and that last bit at the end shows the athleticism of the man and the impact he can have. So credit Tyler Duguid, man of the match for this 2019 World Rugby Under-20 Trophy Qualifier for Canada. Great to have you join us. Great scenes up here. Thank you to Shawnigan Lake School for hosting us. Thank you to both sets of players for playing a really hard physical match. There's so much to look forward to, Spencer, for Saturday.
That was a clean match, played in fantastic spirit. Both teams playing to their strengths, but also playing to the conditions, really attacking the ball, whether you're on defense or offense, and in great spirit.
And as always the way, both teams will be congratulating each other. Hard-fought physical match. They know they're going to go at it again. The Americans will head up to Duncan, and hosted by the Couch and Piggies up there, one of the great rugby clubs in the world. They will be getting ready for this test. This one is not over. Canada here at Shawnigan Lake School. Also, thank you to the refereeing crew here. Shanda Moshe Gallant, Derek Horton, and Chris Asmus, our lead referee. He let the players get at it. It was great to see. Well, sort of the calm after the storm.
Yeah, I'm still trying to catch my breath. That was exhilarating, right from that first 20 minutes where Canada came out so strong. Then the 20 minutes in the second half where the Americans looked like they were going to take the game back until Quinn Nguati stepped up for 2 of his own. And then right at the end to see the heroics from Duguid in the second row. Fantastic rugby.
Cometh the moment, cometh the man, and Nguati stepped up when things weren't looking good for Canada. Credit to the U.S. team. Scott Bracken completely transformed his team's performance at halftime. He's done well. Their captain was inspirational in Bailey Wilson, one of the tries of the day. Tries also from McVeigh, Weir, Walsh, and Manzo. And their forwards perhaps found something here. This is going to be a heck of a test come Saturday. To all of you, thank you for joining in. Thank you to Shawnigan for hosting us. The great man, Gary Ducalo, is in the middle of that pack there, the former Canadian World Cup prop. He's going to make a short presentation here. We'll stay with it as both teams are assembled, knowing that the business isn't done. Let's listen in to Gary Ducalo.
Shawnigan Lake School. It's a great honor to host this game. It's not the first time we've seen the Americans here against Canadian teams at all the different levels. We've had this great experience, and today was a typical fight. It was nice to see things going back and forth, and the physicality at times, I think, has to typify our game in North America if we're going to take it to the new level. And there's so many opportunities in this continent right now with the pro leagues representing the last 4 teams, 2 Canadians, 2 Americans. There's great opportunity for you guys if you keep focusing on the North American parts of this game, which are physicality, the set pieces, and getting better each game. And that's the good thing about having 2 games. You guys will go back, make things better, and make the last battle even a bigger celebration. So thanks so much for being here, and thank you, Canada, for what you've done the last couple of weeks. You've represented the country well. You've coached at my wife's school. You've been great models for the game here at Shawnigan, and all the best for the finish. The man of the match for today talk about physicality. Number 5 for Canada, Tyler DeGrick.
Well, Tyler Duguid, the pride of Barrie, Ontario. A decent pedigree, as we mentioned. So we will wrap it up here. Congratulations. If you're someone who is a part of these young athletes' career at school or at club, congratulations to you for giving them rugby, bringing them rugby. Congratulations to both sets of players for doing honor to the game, the coaches, the referees, and all our hosts here. Great match, great rivalry continues. The Eagles versus Canada. We'll be back at it on Saturday. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you then. I'm Gareth Reese signing off for Spencer Robinson. Have a great evening.
Enjoy the rest of the evening, and please have a safe trip home. Thank you.
Dude, you gotta tell us.